Welcome back. Now that the pretrial adjudication did not work, we have to dive into the case. So let's jump in. What do I mean when I say the pretrial adjudication didn't work out? Well, that means that when the plaintiff sued the defendant, the case did not end, or it was not thrown out because of a motion to dismiss, the 12B motions. It was not, the plaintiff did not voluntarily dismiss the suit. The defendant did not, the defendant answered, so there was no default judgment against the defendant for not answering. There was no temporary restraining order or preliminary injunction. There was just nothing that said pause or stop the adjudication. Everything basically said, let's keep going. On that note, let's keep going. Discussion of adjudication during trial, I'm going to break it off into the different elements of a party. In order to throw a party, you need to plan it. You need to invite the guests. You need to entertain the guests. You need to have food, or if not, they're going to leave. You need to have cheese to keep me there. Anyways, we're not talking about me. So you have the main course, then you have the Yelp reviews. How was the party? Then you have the chisme. What is the word on the street? What are people saying about the dinner party? And then finally, you need to know whether or not you can hire that catering company again, because what were the results? So we're going to take it step by step. It's time to plan the party. What's the event? It's a birthday. It's my birthday. It's not actually my birthday. But anyways, we'll roll with it. So what do you do when you plan a party? You have a 26F conference. You've heard it, folks. A very arbitrary number with a letter. How can you remember that? That is where the planning occurs for trial. What does that entail? That means everyone gets on the same page. You identify the parties, who's going to be brought up as a witness, what are the claims, what are the defenses, what is going to be discoverable information, what is privileged. It's what they're saying. What does everybody know? You have to think big pictures, not the details. Like, I'm not going to say these are my claims, X, Y, and Z, and the case law behind it and the reasoning. No, you can just basically say, I'm going to argue this, and I'm going to defend that comment with this. It's so everyone is on the same page, so they know what to base their arguments on. There are no surprises. There shouldn't be any surprises. 26F conference, we plan the party. So what does that mean? What type of party are we going to have? A birthday party. What type of case are we going to have? A trial case. We are going to figure out the parties. We're going to figure out the claims, defenses. We're going to figure out what information can be asked for in discovery, who can be questioned, who can be deposed, which means questioned. Everything. Determine what is fair game and what is not. And then you play by the rules that 26F establishes. Now that we've figured out what type of party I'm going to have, now we need to invite the guests. Who am I going to invite to my birthday party? My friends, my family, definitely not my enemies. So in a trial, who are the guests that we are inviting? It can be broken off into two. It could either be a bench trial or a jury trial. What is the difference? In a bench trial, these are usually reserved for equity cases. What is an equity case? A case that does not have a monetary value. If you're asking someone to stop doing something that does not have a dollar amount. So in a bench trial, the judge looks at the evidence and decides the case. Now we move on to the other option, a jury trial. That is when the evidence is presented to a jury of your peers. People who are disinterested in the case, who do not have a bias. They're presented with the evidence, and then they're faced with the task to decide, what is the answer? Who is right? Who is wrong? Remember, this is a civil case, so don't start thinking about criminal cases. It's more like in a contract. Did the defendant breach the contract with the plaintiff? Yes or no? So the guests are either the bench guests or the jury guests. Are we going to invite the judge only, or are we going to invite the jury? Jury trials are afforded when there is a monetary relief. That means dollar amount. If there's money involved, you want a jury trial. If you're asking someone to stop doing something and to give them an injunction or something, then you're going to want to go with a bench trial. Got it? Let's move on. Okay. We've planned the party. We've invited the guests. Now my birthday party is going on. What do? You entertain the guests. You have to make sure everyone is okay. Everyone's getting along with each other. The temperature is cool but not too hot. You don't want people pulling out sweaters or leaving because it's just too cold or awkward. Entertain the guests. Entertain the guests. At trial, you want to entertain your guests. You want to make sure everything is running smoothly. So what happens? You can file a motion for judgment as a matter of law. Wait. What is this? This is basically asking your guests to leave. Why is it asking your guests to leave? Because you're asking for the trial to just stop there, and you're giving reasons. It's too cold. I've got to go. I didn't bring a sweater. Maybe I'll come to the next party. Okay, so we are trying to identify with judgment as a matter of law who forgot their sweater. Judgment as a matter of law. If you saw my previous video about adjudication pretrial, I talked about summary judgment, which is when a party alleges that there's no genuine issue of material fact and the moving party is entitled to judgment as a matter of law. What? Are we rounding about this? Yes. Judgment as a matter of law is the summary judgments that occurred during trial. This means that the evidence shows that it wouldn't necessarily go to a party. There's a whole bunch of rambling and talking, but nothing is being carried out. Conclusions are not being brought forth. So the party says, I want to stop this case right here. It's not worth continuing. It's too cold. I don't have a sweater. I'm going to freeze if I stay at this party. So the judgment as a matter of law, when granted, it can stop the trial and it can end your party because guests start to leave and that doesn't look too good. Keep it in mind because judgment as a matter of law comes up later as well in a different form. Unfortunately, some of your guests left, but you still have enough guests to continue having your party. Just because some people left doesn't mean you can't have fun. Doesn't mean you can't celebrate your birthday. So what is the main course? That is when the plaintiff and defendant's attorneys start arguing with each other. They start laying out arguments and trying to be persuasive with their word choice and their phrases. These are the elements of this crime or this contract. And they were breached because XYZ. They go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The main course, you're eating. You're eating the salad. You're eating the chicken with rice. You're eating the dessert. It's all happening. It's the main course. It's the main event of a dinner party. Because what's a dinner party without food? What's a trial without the different parties arguing with each other respectfully? Since we live in the 21st century, Yelp and Google reviews have become a big part of our eating experience. Oftentimes you go to a restaurant and you're like, I need to check the Yelp reviews, or I need to make sure there's a sticker that says Yelp approved or best eats or something that indicates other people have eaten here, they've enjoyed it, and I'm not going to die of food poisoning, basically. I mean, I've done that too. I've gone to restaurants in different cities or different countries and I'm like, I see the sticker, we're good to go. How does this relate to a case? Well, we've had the main course. We've eaten. Now the parties at the guests at this party need to let us know, was the food good? It was a dinner party after all. So who are the guests? In the bench trial, you will get the Yelp review in what the judge proclaims is the outcome of the case. The Yelp review is the response from the judge or the jury. In a jury trial, the Yelp review comes from the jury. It can either come as general or special response. Why? General means that it's a blanketed overall statement that says defendant breached plaintiff's contract. Whereas a special response could be the judge provided specific questions and then the jury answered all those different specific questions. Special, specific, general, all. Special, specific, general, all. You have different types of Yelp reviews, so you must pay attention. I guess you can say the general response is more of how many stars you're going to give it or how many thumbs up are you going to give it. And then the special response are the words that people use to comment. It was great. A+ service. Love the taste of the food. Compliments to the chef. Or, I hated it. I hated the experience, the atmosphere. I got there. I waited 45 minutes before I got seated at my table and then I got my food and it was served cold. Never go there again. Those are the responses. Those are the special responses from the jury. They answer specific questions. Was the ambiance great? Yes or no? It's just throwing it into the mix. Trying to get a little creative so you can follow along with the complexity of trials. Moving on. I'm making the grand assumption that this is a Latino party. And with Latino parties come chisme. What is chisme? Gossip. Where does gossip come from? People talking about things behind other people's backs. And you know, they're sometimes rooted in truth. There is a truth behind every statement. Or is there? So how does chisme come to play? Well, every party, you have some gossipers. You have people chismeando in the corner talking about the food was great. It was the best food I've ever had. Or like, did you see fulana de tal wearing that dress? It did not look great. Whatever it is. This is where the judgment as a matter of law comes back again. We have the guests that wanted to leave originally because they thought it was cold and they didn't have a sweater, but then they were like, you know what? It's free food, so I'm going to stay and eat and then I'll see what happens. And the end of the meal comes and they're still cold. So they're like, you know what? I'm going to leave now. So what is this? This is a renewed motion of judgment as a matter of law, or RJMOL. RJMOL, renewed judgment as a matter of law. What does that mean? It's the exact same thing as judgment as a matter of law, which is synonymous with its neighbor of summary judgment. There's no genuine issue of material fact. The moving party is entitled to judgment as a matter of law. That means that the evidence presented in the way that it is would not ever, the jury or the judge would not rule in favor of this party. So it's like, we're going to cut our losses now, we're going to stop right now, and we're just going to end it. So what happens? Why are they bringing it up again? Why is it renewed motion? Because the first time those guests thought it was cold during the entertaining section of this whole plan the party, invite the guests, entertain the guests, serve them the main course, get the Yelp reviews, and then now we're in the chisme. They didn't have a strong argument for the judgment as a matter of law. They were like, it's cold, but it's not freezing. If I don't have a sweater, I'm not going to die. This is not the tundra. We're not below zero. Whereas the other guests that left during judgment, during the entertaining section, thought it was too cold. I may be overcomplicating this. Okay. If the judgment as a matter of law does not pass during trial, you have the option one more time to raise it after trial but before the jury deliberates, which is, or after the jury deliberates. It's a renewed judgment matter of law. So it's a JMOL. I'm bringing it one more time before the judgment is entered. After the jury, before judgment is entered, to say, wait, we need to stop this. So even if the jury says, yes, the defendant is liable, the RJMOL can basically erase what the jury said. Let me see if I can put this in simpler terms. You have to raise the judgment as a matter of law during trial if you want to raise the renewed motion, the renewed judgment as a matter of law. You can't renew a judgment that you never brought up in the first place. So in order to renew it or allege it a second time, you need to allege it the first time. And you need to allege it while you're entertaining guests. You can't just say it at the chisme stage. You need to say it at the entertaining the guest stage and the chisme stage. And it can be raised. And it may succeed and it doesn't succeed. If it doesn't succeed, you can file a motion for a new trial. You can file both of them. You can file the renewed judgment as a matter of law and a motion for a new trial. Sorry, it's a mouthful. Or a judgment for a new trial. You can raise both and see, flip the coin. If one works, if one works, both don't have to work. But if one doesn't work, well, at least I have the other one. I'm throwing my parachute. So, like chisme, it's long-lasting. It has long-lasting implications. It can really affect you the same way that the renewed judgment as a matter of law can affect you at trial. It could stop you. Bad chisme can stop you from feeling a certain way. It can stop you from seeing certain people. It can have negative and positive effects. But in this case, depending if you're a plaintiff or a defendant, it could really help you whether or not you're liable on a contract case or a tort action or anything else that falls under the civil umbrella. We've reached the end of the dinner party. Now you have to determine whether or not you're going to hire that catering team. What was the feedback? What did the Yelp reviews say? What was the consensus with the chisme? And that's when you enter judgment. The clerk enters for bench trials and the judge enters for jury trials. And once the judgment is entered, that is what goes. But you have an option to appeal the case after it's all been adjudicated. And what does appeal mean? It could say, I hear you, but I think you're wrong, so can we do this all over again? And then you have to go back. But there is slightly a different process, which I will cover in next week's video. But at the end of the day, if the food was good and you got good Yelp reviews, even on Google reviews, those are important as well, and the chisme was overall satisfactory, then you're like, okay, let's enter this judgment, let's accept it, it's cool, I like it, we'll hire these people again. But if the Yelp reviews say the food was disgusting, I got food poisoning, I was stuck in the bathroom for 3 hours after eating, and then the chisme was like, no, this was the worst dinner party, the host and everything, and you want to redeem yourself, you can say, wow, I don't like that judgment. Let's try again. Let's hire a new catering company, the appeal, and see if we have a better reaction and reception. Because after all, you want to make sure that the customers are happy and good paying and tipping well. It's important to tip. And basically, thank you for joining my fake birthday party that we planned at the 26F conference, and we carried through. We invited the guests, the jury or the judge. We entertained the guests. Some of them left because they thought it was too cold, but we kept going, and we served the main course: salad, chicken and rice, and dessert. The food was good. Some people thought it was great. They left great Yelp reviews. And that was in the form of special responses. They gave us wordy reviews. And then other people were like, It was alright, but you know what? I should have just left earlier, and that's when the chismosas come in. And they tried to end the adjudication with the renewed judgment for motion for new trial, RJMOL. But you know what? Overall, the consensus was good, so I think we're going to hire the catering company again, and we're just going to accept the judgment that was entered by the judge because it was a jury trial, because those were the guests that we invited. Anyways, thanks for tuning into my video. Make sure to subscribe. Every single Wednesday I come out with new videos tackling the bar exam in an interesting approach to make it more relatable and understand the big picture, because the bar exam sucks, but you've got this. I believe in you. I believe in myself. I believe in you, and just gotta push forward. You got this.